I'm going to walk you through all 16 teams in the AFC today, and I'm going to try to not ramble too much. If you know me, that is a little bit of a problem, which is why I have enlisted the help of our staff here to get me through it as we go through the AFC here today. If you hear a little jingle, sounds a little bit something like this. Maybe, you recognize it. There it is. If you've ever watched an award show, when the person's talking too much and you're saying, oh my God, let's get to the next award. They're going to do that. They're going to help me get through this as quickly as possible so you can be up to speed. And let's jump right into it with the AFC West and the reigning champions of the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs. I love the way we keep coming up with challenges for Patrick Mahomes to overcome. Like, if it wasn't enough that the guy's a two-time MVP and a two-time Super Bowl champ at 27, we just have to keep making the road to the Super Bowl more difficult. Last year, it's Tyreek Hill. Oh, they traded Tyreek to the Dolphins. Their offense is going to take a step back. The AFC is too good. MVP, championship. You get the gist. This year, it's all over again. It's Chris Jones this time. It's the first team all-pro defensive tackle, the stalwart of their defense, arguably, for my money, one of the three best defenders in the NFL, holding out, no end in sight. We've heard he might sit out until week 8 to prove a point. He wants to be making $30+ million a year. I understand with Patrick Mahomes making $500 million, why they might not want to pay that. But maybe you guys should figure this out, because you sit here and you say, can the Chiefs do this? Look, I know you don't watch Kansas City for the defense, but please do not underestimate what Chris Jones can do for that unit. And it's enough to make you wonder if they can repeat. Then we get to the week of the game. They kick off against the Detroit Lions in hours, in days, and Travis Kelce now has a hyperextended knee. His availability is in question. Like I said, as if Patrick Mahomes wasn't great enough already, the supporting cast that he has comes into question 2 years in a row. I can't wait to see how he solves this riddle. But here's the thing I love about the Chiefs. They are so proactive and so smart about coming up with solutions to these problems. They trade for Orlando Brown from Baltimore. He helps them win a Super Bowl. He leaves in free agency. Andrew Wiley, their right tackle, leaves in free agency. What do the Chiefs do? They go out, they sign Jawan Taylor. They find Donovan Smith from Tampa Bay in the bargain bin. And just like that, you've replaced your starting offensive tackles from a Super Bowl team. And you've got to feel pretty good about it, all things considered. Same thing goes for the receiver corps. You trade away Tyreek Hill. What do? You get creative. You trade for a Kadarius Toney, who now figures to be their wide receiver 1 heading into this season. You draft Rashee Rice out of SMU. You draft Sky Moore in the second round last year. Didn't have a large role as a rookie. Caught a touchdown to help win a Super Bowl. And now you are replenished. Again, not saying any of these guys are Tyreek Hill, but the way that the Chiefs have added talent around Patrick Mahomes while understanding the contract that he's on is incredibly impressive. Look at the defensive side of the ball. Again, this isn't the best unit in the league, and it certainly isn't going to be the best unit in the league until they figure out what to do with Chris Jones. But there's a lot to like here, whether it's spending first-round picks at corner and at edge rusher, whether it's finding a Nick Bolton who scores a touchdown for you in the Super Bowl. I don't know how long they can keep this heater up, but the Chiefs have done a phenomenal job of supplementing their roster with really cheap talent around Patrick Mahomes. And yes, at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to elevate it all, especially if Travis Kelce misses time, especially if Chris Jones misses half the season. But are you going to bet against it? Because I know I'm not going to bet against it. Absolutely not. If there is one person in the NFL that has earned the benefit of the doubt, it's Patrick Mahomes. And that's why you look at this on paper, again, especially not knowing when Chris Jones is going to be back, this doesn't look like a contender. Not in the AFC that has so many loaded teams, which we will get to. And then you remember number 15 is in Kansas City, and you say, yeah, they'll probably be there when the season's winding down, because they always are. It is incredibly impressive. And whether they win another Super Bowl or not, it's going to continue to add to the legacy of a guy, Patrick Mahomes, who for my money, is already one of the 4 best quarterbacks in history. And I have a feeling he's going to continue to climb that list. Bet against him and bet against the Chiefs at your own peril. I think all of that goes without saying, which, yes, I'm going to beat the music on this one because there's not much else to say. And we can move on to the Los Angeles Chargers, which comes with a little bit more baggage. Where do you even begin here? Do you want to start with the 27-7 lead that they blew in the playoffs? Do you want to start with Justin Herbert being a $260 million quarterback without a playoff win? We could jump to my area of expertise, Kellen Moore, their new offensive coordinator, who I love the way these narratives get written. Kellen Moore, who had a top 5 offense throughout his tenure in Dallas, but couldn't help the Cowboys get over the hump. Now he comes to Los Angeles, where the expectation is that he will. Can Kellen Moore unlock Justin Herbert? By the way, that sounds insane to say about Justin Herbert, who has set every record there is for young quarterback play, every yardage and touchdown statistic there is. Justin Herbert has it. But can Kellen Moore take him to another level? And that's the uncomfortable truth for the Chargers. I get it. They haven't won a playoff game. But when you have this type of talent at quarterback and everywhere else on the roster, I mean, look down the thing. You got Justin Herbert at quarterback. He might be mad about his paycheck, but you have Austin Eckler. You have one of the most dynamic receiver trios in the league. You add Quentin Johnston, a first-round pick out of TCU, to the duo of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, one of the best in the league over the last 5-6 years. The defense loaded with talent, though the performance might not show it, whether it's Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, whether it's J.C. Jackson and Derwin James. What don't they have? What don't the Chargers have? And that's what I think is so interesting about Kellen Moore being here, is success for this team, getting over the hump for this team. I don't know, winning a wild card game doesn't really feel that much more significant to me. Not when you have this 6'5" Adonis of a quarterback with a howitzer for an arm. I'm not saying the Chargers have to win the Super Bowl or even get there, but they got me. All right, I kind of went off on a spiel there, but you get my point. The Chargers are way too talented to settle for less than 10, 11 wins and some sort of run in the playoffs. And oh, by the way, they share the division with the Kansas City Chiefs. Good luck, guys. Good luck. Moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders. I think we can do this one pretty quickly. The Raiders are an interesting team to me because their Pro Bowlers are as good as it gets. Josh Jacobs is the reigning rushing champ, one of the best running backs in the league. Negotiated himself a nice little pay bump by holding out a training camp. Devontae Adams, I know last season didn't go great, but you still consider him one of the 3 best receivers in the NFL. Throw in Max Crosby on the defensive side, a very, very underrated pass rusher, one of the best young pass rushers in the league. Is that enough? Are the Raiders' star players enough? Because after the cream of the crop, after these 3 great players, it's hard to say that you love a lot of what Josh McDaniels is doing in Las Vegas. Jimmy Garoppolo, we know what he is. We know what he isn't. We know he very rarely plays a full season. We know he very rarely elevates his team to another level when he is not buoyed by a phenomenal supporting cast like the one he had in San Francisco. Where's the defensive depth beyond Crosby? I suppose you could throw Chandler Jones in there, but the secondary looks like a mess. This, to me, looks like a team in transition. Jimmy's there. I don't think you can bank on that in the long term. I hate to say it. This just looks like a team that's going to be an also-ran, and that's where I am with it. Are the Raiders stars enough? I say no, especially in the AFC. Now let's wrap it up with, man, what a difference a year makes. The Denver Broncos. It's all about Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. I mean, honestly, this is simple enough because we saw all of this hype about this star-studded roster. You make a trade for Russell Wilson, you pay him $240 million, and please don't make me talk about what happened last year. I'm sure you remember it as well as I do. So we don't need to get into the defensive talent, the very weird reunion where Vance Joseph former Broncos head coach, is now calling the defense in Denver. It's interesting, maybe a little bit awkward, but does it matter to the success of this team as much as Sean Payton, noted winner, noted quarterback developer, a guy, and look, I know he had Drew Brees. He's also a guy that's won games with Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. This is a guy that knows how to make the most of the quarterback position. Can he fix Russell Wilson? Because if he can't, Denver's got way bigger problems than whether or not they can compete in the AFC. Getting out of that contract sounds like a nightmare. I know Jarrett Stidham is there as their backup. I'm not sure that's something you want to fall back on. I know there's a massive fan base around this team. I know there's a lot of desire to get back to former glory. For the Broncos, figuring out if Russ can still cook is priority number one, because if he can't, they've got way bigger issues than the win-loss record this season. This one feels pretty straightforward. The AFC West was supposed to be a barroom brawl last year, and the Chiefs made it look easy. And with all due respect to everyone else, I'm going to bank on them doing it again until someone proves me wrong. I got the Chiefs winning yet another division title.